everybody, and welcome back to the Drive Pink Dialogue. We are about 10 seconds from Inter Miami's 1-0 victory over the Columbus Crew in Cleveland. Inter Miami takes the top spot in the Eastern Conference. I believe they jump all the way to second in the Supporters Shield table, and they remain the only team in the MLS that is unbeaten to this point in the season. Very interesting game. I think there's a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. Let's start with the goal from Kramaski and Cello Weekend, where this team did not create a ton of real opportunities in this game. Tadeo Allende was the real goal threat for much of this game, at least in terms of creating offense in the final third. But the big moment comes from Cello Weekend, who gets down the right side, has one of the 2 or 3 best crosses he's had since he came to Inter Miami, and Benjamin Kramaski with a golden header from the Golden Boy. Unbelievable moment for both Kramaski and Cello Weekend, justifying their spot in the starting 11. I know there are questions about how good is Kramaski. Can he actually be a guy that takes this team to the next level, to a level that allows this team to win every single game? This moment is one of those moments that helps him prove that. Guys, this is the Raw Reaction. I'm your host, Scotty. This is all about emotions. It's all about how did you feel about that game? Exciting, frustrating, nervous. How did you feel? It felt like for much of the second half, it felt like Inter Miami was just sitting back, absorbing pressure, and the Columbus Crew were creating opportunities. I think this game is, I hate to say this, but I think this game is more about the Columbus Crew than Inter Miami. We saw them create plenty of opportunities throughout this game, really. They finished with almost 3 XG and 0 goals. So this team lost Christian Ramirez. They lost Cucho Hernandez. They lost some of that elite finishing that made them so dangerous over the last couple of years. They haven't scored a ton of goals, and especially against good defenses, but they created plenty of opportunities in this game. They just were not clinical. Daniel Gazdak had opportunities. AZ Jackson had opportunities. And Inter Miami sort of lucks out in many of those, and then they create the moment that matters in the final third in the first half. Guys, I want to bring on Mike from the Inter Miami show to get his thoughts. How are you feeling after that game?
You know, it's funny. You just said luck. And last week, or earlier this week, when I was on the show, one of the comments I made to you was, we've had luck on our side. And all sorts of comments came out against me that wasn't true and this, that. But how many times did Columbus had a chance to not only tie this game, but win it? And they just could not get Gazdag, who I think is going to be, looks like the trade of the winter, 3-4 quality chances, and he could not find the back of the net.
Apologies, I had a cough, so I muted myself. I'm watching the XG update with those final few shots. They're up to 3.14 XG. They had over 3 XG in this game and come away with 0 goals. So I think that was the story of this game, was more about Columbus. Inter Miami did what they needed to do to win. Before we get to the chat, let me ask you, are you nervous at all that Inter Miami felt this was the right way to play this Columbus Crew team when they are fully healthy and, thinking about firing on all cylinders?
Well, I think first off, are we fully healthy? Like, I think clearly Messi looks like he was injured towards the end of the game. Ustari clearly injured. So I don't think this looked like us playing at our best. I am not a fan of a prevent defense. I think we had 5 center backs in to finish the game. And Aviles was begging for a yellow. So no, I'm not real happy with how this looks. I think this also calls into what we discussed earlier in the week, that we desperately need a backup 9. Like once we no longer had Suarez on the pitch, initially we brought on Segovia. Fafa to me was the better move. It would have at least kind of opened the pitch back up, but Columbus is going to be kicking themselves, right? Like I almost think this is, Nancy's going to walk into the locker room and not have much to say because everyone knows this was their game to win, and they just couldn't do it.
That said, I think I think there is something to be said about great teams finding ways to win when they don't play well. And Inter Miami does that. Ustari does make the saves. He does get in position. Lujan and Maxi Falcone and Jello Wiegand, they do make the last second touches or get in position to throw off a shot. Noah Allen as well. And so even though it did feel like Columbus had plenty of opportunities, and they certainly put a couple uncontested shots high, Inter Miami pulls through, and it doesn't feel like, I don't know. It feels like Inter Miami has done this a couple times and has gotten away with it so much that you almost feel like they're just going to get away with it all the time, and it's not quite nervy.
Well, I also throw out, and I'm the one here saying luck, luck, luck. The mature control the defensive line shows inside our 18. You know, there's so many times you're watching the ball ping ponging around, and you're like, "There's gonna be a penalty kick. Like, there's gonna be an inadvertent kick, an inadvertent foul." I think the team was really good about self control. I think the refed a good game. I agree. I think Taylor Twellman said that she had control. I think she let the game play out, but the team was. All the defenders were pulling their legs back. They're trying not to do anything stupid until Aviles got there, and then he was just begging for a yellow. But the team overall, like, they are playing more mature. The defense has really stepped up. They've grown up, and we look like a very different defensive team when we need to be now.
Yeah, no, I think that's in it. I think you said it right when you started that. The defensive maturity in the 18-yard box is next level. They do feel more under control, more composed. And I do think Maxi Falcone is a big part of that. Noah Allen is a big part of that. But it is a different vibe or feel, at least from our vantage point. And maybe it's Ustari as well. And the way he's communicating with them, we don't get to see that. I thought it was weird they took Yannick Bright off so early. I thought once he came off defensively, we were a little bit more exposed. Toto Aviles at the 6. I don't love that. I would have loved to see Telasco Segovia there, but ultimately, what'd you think of the goal? Kramaski, Wegod to Kramaski for.
I'm not quite ready to start apologizing to Kramaski yet, but like 5 minutes earlier, I messaged people like, "Why is he starting? What?" I think I said on the show the other day, like, I'm not a fan of him, but what a goal! What a beautiful goal! I think that's got to be up there for goal of the week for MLS. Like, I know I haven't seen any other games this weekend on this match day, but I mean, come on. And I know everyone gives Cello so much discredit, but that was a perfectly paced cross. You know, it was fantastic, and we don't. I think that's the kind of stuff we expect to see more often, and we expect to see from, you know, the Barca 4. To see it from those two, way to even more fantastic.
Yeah. But I think it was potentially the best cross Cello's had since he got here, at least top 3 or 4 in any game. So big shout out to him for that. I thought he played really well. One of the things that he showed in this game was a toughness that not everyone on the field has, and I really appreciate that from him. I do want to get to the chat and see what some of the chat is thinking. And I appreciate you joining me, Mike. I know you're busy, so whenever you have to log off, go ahead. But I think this is really exciting that Inter Miami has gone up against basically all of the best teams in the Eastern Conference now. Philadelphia, Charlotte, Columbus, Atlanta. We haven't seen Cincinnati yet, I guess. But for the most part, Inter Miami has gone up against the best teams in this conference and has won basically every game. And so I do think that's going to give this team a tremendous amount of confidence. And when we're talking about things like the Supporters Shield, we're talking about things like points record or first place in the Eastern Conference, games like this where you have to worry about the CONCACAF Champions Cup and there's a little bit of rotation and, you know, you don't have your best game and it's in a different stadium. The fact that they were able to get 3 points here, I think, is more about the ramifications for the season. It's the win at Philadelphia last year when we were down to 9 men, the Campana winner against Toronto. Those little moments where you can end up with 3 points, even though you maybe shouldn't have, that's what allows teams to achieve the really impressive things over the course of the season. So to me, that's my big takeaway from Miami. My big takeaway from Columbus is they are desperately missing that Cucho Hernandez or Christian Ramirez. And while it hasn't seemed to have bitten them over the course of the season so far, it certainly bit them today.
Man, I almost disagree with you on that last statement because Gazdag was in the right place at the right time. Like they're on multiple occasions they had the chance. They lost. Like I feel like I've been negative since I got on, and my next statement is going to be still negative. They lost the game. We didn't win the game. Love the 3 points. I think Monty Mondal just posted Miami parking the bus with the 9-1 formation wasn't on my bingo card, but I'll take the word. That was the same thing. I'm watching the game with my wife. I'm like, I'm sitting there counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 center backs. Like, didn't expect it, and I don't like that kind, but it worked, and it shows. I think this also shows the faith Mascherano has in his team that he can just keep on throwing center backs on the pitch, and as a unit, they'll figure out how to cover and play. Because, we've talked and previously that there's so much formation changes that sometimes it looks like the team's not comfortable. I've seen in other teams play at other times when managers throw that many center backs on, they kind of don't know what to do and they kind of get in each other's ways. Yet here, stayed clean, no fouls, and continue to defend under a constant onslaught.
Yeah. The way they have been able to defend this year, I think, in the final 20 minutes of games, especially when they've decided to shell up, I think has been pretty impressive. They haven't leaked out. One says Suarez should be subbed off early, weakest player on our team. A couple other Suarez messages. I've been such a strong defender for Suarez for so long. And I still think he's going to have a good season at the end of the day, but the performances are not as impactful as you'd want from a guy that is a locked-in starter to the level that he is and has the expectations and a connection with Messi that he does. What'd you think about Suarez today? While we're talking negative, we'll get it all out.
So let's start off the positive that he did set up the goal. He was playing out of the midfield, which was I think hugely important.
Does it concern you that the way he was able to have an impact in this game was to completely abandon the box?
We had this. We talked about this for a solid 30 minutes. I think the other night. Like, we need a backup 9. I know Urbando. I apologize. I don't know if he was on the bench tonight or not.
He was.
I don't know why he didn't come in. I think against Dallas, Urbando needs minutes, and I'm sure during your week show, your midweek show, you'll have the statements. But like, Urbando needs minutes. Suarez needs a break. Suarez should not start the next game. Give him a chance to kind of watch the game from the bench. So yes, I am concerned. I'm going to give him credit for setting up that goal, but yeah, I'm absolutely concerned that Suarez is not making contributions into the back of the net. He's contributing, and I think you pointed out again last show, he's got multiple assists and he's doing a lot, but he has no touch. He's getting multiple chances to put ball in frame, and he's not doing it. And I think that today he had at least one missed shot, I believe.
Potentially. Taylor Twellman mentioned it at the beginning or at the end of the game, and Natalia mentions it. Messi walked off right away. Hope he's okay. It did feel like Cynical Tube says Twellman thinks Messi's hurt. He felt pretty invisible, especially in the second half. Gabriella says Messi was invisible today. In the first 30 minutes, I think he had some moments. I think he got into the box in dangerous situations, wasn't able to get a super clean shot on target, but it did feel like in the second half that he wasn't really a factor. Did he look injured to you? Did he look fine? Or you just think it was one of those games where we were just sitting back and there wasn't really a place for him?
I think both. I think he did look injured. I think he looked slow. I do think he made more of an impact people are giving credit for. I think every time the camera pans to the right, or kind of off of him, you don't see what he's doing, holding defense back. So I think he's still impacting by being there, but clearly he's not 100%. He doesn't seem 100%. He just seems off, and his touch. There was that one ball where he recognized his touch. It's kind of weird to say Messi has one bad touch. What's the problem? But Messi had a bad touch. Just didn't feel right.
Yeah, Wookie says Messi's playing too many minutes. If he's injured, it's on Mascherano. To have him play 90 minutes this close to triple C or 3C is crazy. And I do think about this. There's 5 days before that first game in Vancouver, which feels like enough to not, especially with this past week off, to have to rotate in this game. But next weekend, they're going to play 3 games in 7 days. That Dallas game feels like you can't play these guys. You just can't. It's a Western Conference game, and you need them 3 days later against Vancouver. I'm pretty nervous that Javier Mascherano is going to play them again next weekend because that's what he always does.
The challenge here is, right, we're now the last undefeated team. And we are chasing, whether it's being stayed out or not, we're chasing the undefeated season that's still at this point. And so you're kind of between a rock and a hard place where you're fighting for CCC. And this is why sometimes it's better to take a loss in league play early, because then you kind of don't have to worry about these things. But now all of a sudden we do. And yeah, we're only, I think, that was our 8th match. We're only 8 matches in. We've got another 26 to go. But being the last undefeated team, like, I agree. I don't want Messi to start, but I can see why he may. And also, Messi is one of the ultimate competitors. He may not accept being benched.
Yeah. I actually don't think the odds of them having an undefeated season are as ludicrous as it actually sounds. But I also think you can win against Dallas with Messi coming off the bench for 20 minutes. Sean says this was Gazdag's first game, and that was scary, and they aren't even on it yet. We talked in the pregame. Me and Danny talked in the pregame about how Inter Miami kind of got lucky that this was Gazdag's first game with them. He hasn't really built that chemistry. He looks good. Are you nervous about what this Columbus Crew team is going to be this season, especially if they add a DP number 9 at some point this summer?
How can you not be nervous? I can't remember if we discussed that or who I discussed with. I don't understand how Philadelphia made this trade. I don't. In your division, in your conference, they're
tanking for a draft pick, obviously.
That's not how MLS works, no, right? Like, you don't care about draft picks. So I don't understand the move. I think it was a brilliant move. Yes, I think you have to be scared of Columbus. Nancy's still the best manager in MLS. He's going to go down long term in history as one of the better managers in MLS history. And eventually some club outside of America is going to get him. But you're giving him just asset after asset. You lost Cucho, but they're going to make up for it. And don't doubt for a second that they're not going to use that DP in a really exciting way.
No, I completely agree. And they were doing this last year. AZ Jackson kind of fell out of favor for a couple of weeks with St. Louis, and he gets moved to Columbus. Same thing with Dawan Jones at New England. Columbus has been really good at finding these types of trades, and it is odd that these other teams continue to make it. Miami King says Allende hasn't found the rhythm yet. He did, I think, have a 4-game goal-scoring streak to start the season, or starting from game 2. Hasn't scored since the calf injury, but he looked dynamic. He looked physical, aggressive. To me, he would be someone I would consider for player of the match just because he was so crucial in opening up the game early on. First, what did you think of Allende? And second, who would you say was like the star performer for Inter Miami today?
I agree. Hands down, he's in that conversation. I think he was our sole really attacking player. He was getting behind the back line. He was doing the things that really you want Suarez to be doing, or the threat to kind of pull the line back. So I agree. You have to give Lujan and Noah the credit for the match, right? Like, they were the starting center backs. I think they are the players of the game because, you know what? We had the conversation. I think this is now our 6th clean sheet in the season. So we're 6 clean sheets in under, 3 XG to do that. I mean, that's a fantastic game, and it's a whole team effort, but it starts with your center back pairing that makes that happen. And they did their jobs.
Yeah, I'll skip to the comment about Lujan. Brad says, I don't ever want to see Lujan again. I'm more with Brad. I thought Lujan was, again, in trouble today. He had an almost penalty that I think on another day could have been a penalty. He is protected at that right center back spot by a guy to both his left and right, which makes me feel better. But the first opportunity they had that Ustari had to make a deflection on, where Arston runs into the box, it's just because Lujan abandons his position. What did you think of Lujan?
I'm not disagreeing on the overall sentiment that he's not. I don't know why LMFAO didn't start. Like, you gotta go with him.
Maxi Falcone, yeah.
Like LMFAO. But again, I'm not taking when you go clean sheet, you gotta look at the people that got you there. And so I don't think you unnecessarily pick. I will say, and it's funny that someone in your audience might take this the wrong way. Noah Allen almost had a PK at the very end too. Like, there was a legit call on that grab that it could have been gone the other way, depending on how the game was reffed. Again, I think the ref did a good job. So defenders are going to get into situations where it gets in situations like this, you play borderline and you hope for the best. I just don't think you can take this match away from him from Lujan because of the end result.
Yeah, fair. I guess that's fair. Listen, he was a starting center back, and he played 90 minutes, right? He moves over to right back and helps this team secure a clean sheet. So that's totally fair.
And that, by the way, that him being able to move to right back was another important thing because it did help when we start throwing more center backs in. His ability to stay over there but also come inside the 18 is very, very valuable. Is he the best center back? Far from it. I don't think he's in the top 2. He's maybe number 3. But that versatility is important.
And I want to give him credit. He did have a huge play at the end where he gets a foot in. I can't remember if it was A.G. Jackson or Gazdag, but he does get a foot in coming across to defended play. And he leaves Arston open, but it was the right move because the pass was coming into, I believe it was A.G. Jackson, and he gets a toe in to deflect it or put him off. So he definitely had some good moments. I am struggling to figure out exactly how to digest this game because, as we mentioned, it felt more like this was about Columbus than Inter Miami. So maybe we should get to, I think, the biggest topic now, because this game was huge and it was exciting. It was the battle of the undefeateds, but ultimately it was just the game before we go play the semifinal of the CONCACAF Champions Cup. For Inter Miami fans, the big game is coming up. It wasn't this. Whatever happened today, I think we could have justified it based on whatever result we get on Thursday. How are you feeling about that game for Thursday? Because that's already the biggest topic for Inter Miami.
I think the answer comes down to Monday's injury report and who shows up at training. Because I think the question now every fan should be asking is Messi injured? Was he just having an off game, or is there a legitimate injury there? So I think that's one. I think I had someone ping me during the match that Alba came up lame a couple times, that he didn't seem 100%. Ustari clearly has injuries. So I think, you've called Vancouver the destiny team of the season, or something along those lines. I think us with these injuries going up against that team, any Miami fan that doesn't have a little fear walking in there, I think thinks in a little bit like of denial, because I do have fear going into this match. I absolutely think this is a winnable match. I absolutely think we have the better players, but there's concerns here that are not being shown. I also think, I'll just throw this out there, I don't think Mascherano has an answer for the high press. Columbus was high pressing us and just having their way with us, and we didn't seem to have any kind of answer. Best we were doing was just lobbing balls back into the midfield and having them played back against us. So I think Mascherano needs to, on the plane ride home tonight and going into Sunday, the drawing board of how does he deal with the high press? Because clearly we're struggling with it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because Vancouver does play an expansive style. They want to not just hit in transition, but they want to play wide and deep, and they're comfortable with space in between the lines because they feel like their passers are going to connect to the balls and they're going to be able to move quickly. And they have athletic players across the board and great crossers. They play expansively, and that's exactly what Columbus does. They're not quite as intricate as Columbus. They don't have quite the same interchanges, but that's similar to what we saw today. And Inter Miami, I thought, would have done a better job at being able to play through it quickly and kind of counter that with their own, passing through the midfield quickly and playing expansive and creating opportunities going the other way. I'm looking at the stat sheet now. 16 shots for Columbus, 8 big chances, which to get 0 goals from 8 big chances is pretty crazy. Inter Miami only 1 real big chance, 7 total shots, less than 1 XG. And listen, XG is not everything, but because obviously in the second half they weren't trying to go for goals. But it is a little concerning to me that Inter Miami wasn't able to play through this a little bit more effectively. We've seen them, and the brightest example was last year against Orlando City when we put on 5. But we've seen Inter Miami go up against teams that spread it out and try and play that way, and they just dice them up. And that hasn't been the case in this game or recently, I think. Does that concern you at all?
Yeah. And I think this goes down to I'm kind of wary of really picking too much on Suarez, but Suarez is struggling to be a threat. Allende, I think, was the most threatening players. We kept on trying to play through the middle, and you saw the entire back line of Columbus collapse on Messi. So even when we try to play through, we can't get the spacing we need to really try to do it. I think we need speed. I think we need more consistent speed. I think something's got to change up top. I've said this now for 18 months. Inter Miami's biggest problem is our ability to consistently score goals in tough matches. A 1-0, great, it's a win, but we need to be scoring more often. We're struggling still. I did want to real quick. You had up a second ago Sean Callahan's comment on what are thoughts on Aviles as a 6. Credit Mascherano for experimentation. I don't think Aviles should ever see a pitch again. Like I am totally off the Aviles bus, and just because he's such a threat of cards. Like in his first 2 touches on the pitch, both of them could have resulted in cards. Both were dirty fouls.
4 straight games, no yellow cards, right?
Yeah. But it's like he's trying. It's like he's like upset about it. Like he played. I thought I think his second touch where he kind of went through the guy, it looked clean, but I think he had to let it like up. I think if ref was a little bit more prone to whistle, that was a foul and a card. So I just struggle with having him on the pitch. I think he's constantly a liability, and I was surprised Mascherano did. Now I do feel better about him as a 6 than a center back, only because at least he's not in the box.
Yeah. I think it's interesting, but he's not the guy I would go to there. Like I really would like to see Telasco Segovia in that position. It feels like Javier Mascherano is sort of reticent to do that, but that is kind of where he played in Portugal in big games and at a high level. So I'm interested in the fact that he's not given him a chance there, and he's instead played Toto Aviles out of position. Obviously, Redondo not available today. He's got some lower body injury, missed practice yesterday, obviously misses the game today. Hopefully he's okay. He was listed as questionable, so you would think he's not too far away from being healthy. But I think either way, Yannick Bright and Sergio Busquets are probably prepared to go 90 minutes on Thursday night. What does that mean for next week? I'm not sure, but
well, I mean, the question is, why did Bright go out early? Like, Bright's consistently been a 90-minute player. Is this still because he had a lingering injury? Like that again, that's the questions I have kind of going into Monday is what does practice look like?
Yeah, or at least who's available for Thursday,
Yep.
right? Do we hear anything in the post-game conference that Messi's fine, or Javier Mascherano, I'm sure will address that at least. Manny asks, the pitch was narrower than a normal, what we would expect. Did you think that played a big role, especially for Columbus, who likes to play pretty wide? Didn't feel like Inter Miami was trying to do anything with the wide areas, but for Columbus, I think it does narrow their game a little bit. But did you feel like that was a big factor?
I don't think at all. I mean, Columbus had so many chances right in front of the box coming in from the outside. Like a wider field doesn't change the trajectory of the ball all that much. When Gazdak has the ball at his feet, I think there was one in the 75th minute. There was the ball pinged into our, beat us into the box. All of a sudden, pinging around and never even took a shot. Like Columbus didn't need a wider field to not use the chances they were given.
It feels weird, this game, and I'm not exactly sure how to handle it, because there was a bunch of solid performances, but there was not really a standout performance other than the one moment from Wagon to Kramaski. But the team did just stand tall. But again, I think it has to be Columbus missing their opportunities.
100%. Again, Columbus lost this game, but Astari did have a fantastic game. There was the one shot, I want to say it was the first half, where it came in hot and heavy, and he just got a hand on it, pushed it over top. He was sitting right around where the PK mark was. That was a great save. He had a couple other great reactionary saves. So I think he was a huge factor in this game. I don't think there was a clear man of the match. Clean sheet, Astari playing injured. I kind of leaning towards Astari being man of the match. It may go, typically man of the match goes to the attack. So Kramaski may end up with it, but I don't think in any way, shape, or form Kramaski was the man of the match, besides, him finding the back of the net.
So there is a benefit to winning games like this, and it's that your team doesn't exactly know how to lose. And for a young team, that could be a nice thing. They're too young to know that it's supposed to be hard. SD finds the charm in this, saying the team morale is high now as they face Vancouver. Inter Miami, I feel like, has struggled for 5 games, with the exception of that LAFC second leg, but they have felt lethargic, I think, for much of this 5-game stretch, or 4 of those 5 games. Toronto, Chicago today, it felt lethargic. It didn't feel like there was a ton of energy. It feels obvious to me to say they need to rotate more. They've been playing every 3 days. And despite the fact that they've been playing every 3 days, we haven't seen Robert Taylor. We haven't seen Julian Gressel. We haven't seen Leo Alfonso. We haven't seen much of David Martinez. Like, there's a lot of guys that actually aren't getting minutes that are quality enough to be impactful players for this team. Is that the thing that's going to bite us?
I think it's a huge. I think the Gressel question is up again, right? Like, it's funny enough. Right before the game, I was talking to someone, just having to meet him met him on the street, and we're talking about Gressel. Like, Gressel subbing in for Messi in the 70th minute would have made a ton of sense in this match. Messi was invalid. By the way, I just want to call out, and you know me, I'm the king of going in a random direction. I think Mascherano making the 5th sub and not saving it in case Ustari went down again was a huge risk that was unnecessary. That scared me because Ustari was playing injured clearly, and we were out of subs. Could you imagine if Ustari went down and we were playing 10 men with who would have been goalie? Like,
so here's
probably
what I'll
Busquets
say.
would have been put on the jersey if I had to guess anyone.
No, I agree. Here's what I will say. I think he had that in mind because when he makes the second set of subs in the 77th minute, he really empties the bench and keeps one spot available. So he keeps his 5th sub and his last sub opportunity available, and he ends up using the 88th minute. So I think that was on his mind. I think he had a time where he said, okay, this is where I can pull the trigger on Ustari. I agree with you. That was making me nervous as well. Part of me thought, do you just go to calendar so that you don't have to worry about it? But I think you have to trust Ustari to give you the thumbs up and say he's fine, especially after he's been off the floor for 5 minutes, because that happened in the 72nd minute, something like that. So 15 minutes later, he's had a chance to get back into the game. I think you, by the 80th minute, are okay with that. But I absolutely agree with you. That made me nervous too.
Speaking of which, where did 5 minutes come from in that second half?
Especially with one in the first. I don't know.
With no goals scored, minimal, 3 substitution windows used. Like, I'm not going to play the rest are going against Inter Miami, but that was not a service to Inter Miami to get that full 5 minutes. Like, that was a legit kind of shocking moment to me.
Rob is reporting that Mascherano just said Messi's fine and fully healthy. He was just mad about his own performance, which, we'll see. It feels like him being mad about his own performance would result in him getting on the ball as much as possible and trying to do something. That's normally how he responds to his own lack of productivity. Brad says, for this game, you can't blame fatigue. We haven't played a game in a week. It's a good point. I did expect them to feel a little rejuvenated in this game. I thought Talasco Segovia looked a little bit more energized, was a little bit more rejuvenated after getting an hour off and a week off this week. But it just feels lethargic right now. And I'm wondering, well, do you think there's a chance that part of this is Javier Mascherano wanting to be a defensive coach? And now that he's getting into the season and things are working, he's got a little bit more of a base tendency to close things up and be a little bit more conservative. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. This is, a reaction for fun. But what do you think?
I think defensive coaching and playing 20 minutes in your own 18 are 2 very different situations. This wasn't defensive coaching. This was us on our back foot playing for survival. So I don't think so. I think what he's struggling with is I don't think he has attacking options in these kinds of situations. Again, I don't love to quote Terra 12 because I think that's dangerous, but I think he made the comment, we're defending with 8 and playing, attacking with 2. That's not a recipe to win a match. Like, you need more balance than that. I get maybe in the last 5 minutes. Like, of course, you're in 90th minute, 89th minute, fine. You play those last minutes in your own 18. But we starting in the 75th minute, we basically 75th, 80th minute. We all were just in our own 18.
No, listen, if it started in the 75th or 80th minute, maybe okay. That started halftime. The second half, almost the entire second half, was just Columbus doing what they wanted to do and Inter Miami hoping they could break out on the counter. And You look back, I mean, Miami won total shot in the second half from distance. It was Messi's shot from the 45 yards out. That was the only shot Inter Miami created in the second half. They bunkered for the entire 50 minutes of the second half. And that is weird to me that this Inter Miami team with Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez and Telasco Segovia and Tadeo Allende is deciding that's their best strategy to win a game against a Columbus Crew team that, on another day, they could have put 5 or 6 past us. And not to sound like Taylor Twellman when I say that, but certainly they were good for 2 goals. I just don't understand why we should, how can we be happy about that takeaway? Because we're going to see them again. And why would it be different next time?
Man, I just got on FootMob right now, and I'm actually looking at all statistics. I'm a little bit behind you. It is just a tale of Columbus. I think 6 big chances missed in the second half. What was their XG in the second half? 2.09. I think, we're tired. We have to figure out our attack. The new guys coming in have to figure out the attack. And I'm sorry, I don't care. I don't care if Mascherano said Messi's healthy. I completely agree with you. When Messi's healthy and mad, he actually plays defense, right? He comes, maybe not defense, but he comes back into the midfield. He plays aggressive. He gets chippy. He's good for a dirty foul, and none of that happened. So I tend to still think there's a lingering injury, and I think they're tired. And Mascherano needs to be rotating more. But then I think we start getting back into, is he playing for the record?
Well, and it doesn't matter at this point because they have to play the next game, right? We can have this conversation again next Friday or next Saturday going into that Dallas game. But for now, it's like you've put yourself in this position. You have to make the most of it. By the way, Terry saying in the chat, Ian Frey, another guy that could be playing more minutes. Now, I thought Cello Weekend played well today, but even in that second half, when you're taking off, you're putting on center backs. Ian Frey, a guy who can definitely do that, and is probably the best man-to-man defender on the back line, especially if, up there with Noah Allen and Toto Avias, guys that were already on the pitch. To not see him in this game, surprising. Wookie G makes a good point. Didn't the Moss brothers say they hired Mascherano because they wanted to be an expansive goal-scoring team that scores a lot of goals? And they did mention that at his press conference. I am curious how much of this, and I don't have an answer. I know you don't have an answer, but I'm curious how much of this is them being tired versus them not wanting to rotate their personnel, specifically, Luis Suarez and maybe Telasco Segovia to a lesser extent up until this point, versus Javier Mascherano being a defensive-minded coach. And as the season's gone on, he's wanted to make sure his defense stands up for him, which, listen, it won the game today. So
I'm going to say this. I think there's a lot going on behind closed doors that we're just not aware of. And I think it's, again, we look at Gressel. Gressel not on the bench, not doing anything besides banking $1 million for the year. That's questionable, right? Messi, if he's injured, play him, pull him off. We had no problem pulling Suarez off, which is actually credit to Mascherano, but the sub made no sense. If you're going to pull Suarez off, to me, put in Fafa. That seems like the attacking move up in the 9. Put in Robert Taylor. Yeah. Put in Urbando at the 9. So I feel like there's just a lot being unsaid. I don't know if there's injuries. I mean, MLS injury reporting is not very regulated. It's been a kind of a comment for a long time. It's nothing like most American sports have a lot of rules around injury reporting. MLS does not. So I think there's questions there. I think there's a lot of other stuff going on that just I wonder if kind of what I'm getting to is I wonder if Mascherano's playing with one of his hands behind his back that we just don't understand, and we're trying to kind of give him reasons for what we're seeing.
Can you think of a reason why Julian Gressel shouldn't start against Dallas next Sunday?
I can't see. No, absolutely not. I can't understand why he hasn't seen the pitch all season. This goes back something. It's like something happened right before the playoffs last year. Julian Gressel played every single match in MLS league play last year. Doesn't see the pitch at all during the playoffs, and ever since then has been an ousted man. I don't even want to speculate what it is, but clearly something happened. And so, again, this is where I go back. I think there's stuff that's just not coming out of the locker room. Credit to the club for actually having a culture where locker room issues stay inside the locker room. I think that actually speaks positively in some ways to the club. But clearly stuff has happened that has not made its way for us to sit and speculate about.
Speaking of the power brokers of the club, Rob says, can we be honest? Boosie isn't the same this year. Same with Alba. The old guys, other than Messi, have taken a real step back each. I don't want to say they've taken a step back this season, but over the past 3 weeks, month, 5 or 6 games, it has felt like Inter Miami hasn't gotten the same level of contribution from their superstars. Have you felt that way? Did you feel that way today? I thought Jordi Alba was fine today. I thought he was, pretty solid today, but he wasn't like spectacular in the way that we've seen him be over the course of his career.
Alba was negated because we went to the crazy defensive formation. Like at one point, Alba was playing his left wing. I don't know if it was an overlap or he was just playing more as left wing, but it seemed like he just didn't know where to play. I thought Boosie had a good game. Boosie is slow. We know he's slow. The club knows he's slow. We're not trying to make him a speed demon. It's his job is to kind of orchestrate. I like that under Mascherano, he's like back to his natural CDM position and not trying to be a center back. I think that's a safer role for him. So I think in those cases, both of them are just going what's going on. Like what's happening is not to be unexpected. Suarez is the question mark. We need a 9. And we need an authentic backup 9. And again, why didn't Urbando see the pitch today? Urbando has to play against Dallas. So if you want to say the one guy that has to play against Dallas, it has to be Urbando. He needs real minutes to show what he can do.
Yeah, I'm also, we didn't get to see this is another thing. Baltasar Rodriguez may have been a big part of the game plan. He was at practice yesterday and he got hurt sometime between the beginning of practice yesterday and today. Wasn't available, hurt his hamstring. We don't know how long he'll be out, but perhaps he was a big part of the game plan and someone had to fill in and it messed with Mascherano's planning. I feel like that's a pretty hefty excuse, but I do want to give it to him. Brad says that he just doesn't think the coach likes Julian Gressel. And while I can sort of understand when he's in the trading window, if he's still on this team by next Wednesday, I believe the window closes Tuesday or Wednesday. If he's still on the team next Sunday, he's got to become a part of the team.
So my day job is leading teams, not in sports, but in professionally. The mark of a great leader is being able to take someone you don't like and make them effective. And so like the concept that you don't like Gressel doesn't hold water to me, because if Mascherano's gonna be a great coach, you take the guy you don't like and you make him effective. I will throw out there, Noah Allen is the perfect example of someone that was useless to the team that they made effective. Like the only credit I've ever given Tata Martino is what he did for Noah Allen, where he had a left back that was never going to see the pitch because Jordi Alba had owned that role, and he made him into a center back that's now going to be he was in the best 11 for CONCACAF Champions Cup. So that statement to me doesn't ring true. There's more to it than Mascherano doesn't like him.
And let me be clear, when we say Mascherano doesn't like him, that's not us saying that he doesn't like him as a person. No one has any reason to think Julian Gressel has any enemies out there. But certainly as a play style, we saw last year that in the midfield, Gressel wasn't a tremendous fit, and his best position probably was as a right winger. But of course, you've now opened that position because you moved Messi to the 10. And we still haven't seen him in the preseason. He really only featured off the bench. He's getting paid a big salary. And if you aren't on the verge of moving him, he's a good player and he can help your team. And same goes
for his sake, I hope he's moved. Like I want Gressel to be successful. I like Gressel. I think he's been a big part of MLS. He deserves to be moved. He's won, I think, every trophy possible. So I hope he is, but something's got to give. And if he does, right, if he isn't traded, he's got to be a part of this team, because you can't have $1 million player taking up a huge amount of your TAM that you're not using. That's not,
especially if he's good enough.
Right. If he's good, we can't be successful playing this many games without a very good player sitting on the bench.
It's actually crazy when you think about it. Like, I remember having this conversation at the end of February and thinking they were on the verge of trading Gressel, and they had a deal lining up or coming together and they didn't want him to get hurt. Or, we were speculating that they had a deal with LAFC and they were just waiting for that tight end. And it's like, I don't understand how we've gotten to this point. Manny says, have we matched the longest MLS regular season unbeaten streak. It's 19 matches. I just confirmed it is 19 matches. I don't know if Inter Miami's there. 8 games through the season this year. I'd have to go back to look at last season. I guess the playoffs don't count, but that would be, I think, a fun little record if Inter Miami could beat it. But of course, now we're getting back to the team paying attention to the records. Sean says, this is an interesting one for you. The pitch opens up when Boosie goes back into that center back role. Last season, I thought Busquets did play his best ball as a center back. I think it opened up the team. Now, I was really excited for him to come back to the midfield, but I am curious if there's a way for us to get more out of Busquets. Not necessarily by putting him in the back line, but just putting him in a position to be a more productive distributor of the ball. And maybe he's just getting tired too, but I don't know. Do you think there's more to get out of Busquets?
So first off, I had to do the math. We are at 9. I just had to go to Wikipedia to confirm that we had 11 unbeaten last season, exiting the season, 8 now. So we are actually technically at the record. I don't know if the record crosses or not, but we are at 19. I'm happy with where Busquets is playing. If I'm going to be honest, he is not on my list of things we need to fix right now. I think he still has great ability to be a playmaker. He has great ability to see the field. I just don't think. I think 2 problems. One, the other Barca 3 don't seem to be on. The Barca 4 as a group don't seem to be on the same page. I don't know if it's a lack. Like, they see the moves, they're just not doing it, and their touches are all around. They're struggling in their touch, and we don't seem to have additions to the attack. Unless Allende Segovia kind of came in, they were those additional pieces of attack. It really worked. And then it feels like every manager figured out how to kind of neutralize them, and Mascherano hasn't had a new answer yet.
It feels like we haven't been that great in the opposition half of late. And I want to be clear, if we go back to the first 7 games of the season, because I do think there's a demarcation, 7 or 8 games, Inter Miami is doing everything that everyone expected them to do. They're winning games. They're beating good teams. They are scoring goals. And it felt like last season plus a better defense. It's only been, I guess, 5 games now, that first LAFC road trip, where it's been a downgrade. And I wonder, part of me thinks Busquets isn't getting high enough up the field so that when he does get on the ball, he's not able to actually push it into dangerous positions. But I don't know. I guess I want to wait for that examination till the end. Rob says, chill, Messi's been perfect this season. Today was the only off touch day. I'll give you that. But Messi has been damn near perfect. That's true. Messi has been really good this year. But it is
Messi has been good, but
the offense is becoming an issue, I guess.
How many times have we seen a Messi pass not picked up by one of the Barca 4? Right? It's gone to Suarez, and Suarez hasn't been able to have the touch on it. Alba and Messi have not been on the same page. You can say Messi's been perfect, but then you have to say that everyone else around him hasn't been. And if we're comfortable saying that, then we can say it. But the Barca 4 have not been playing on the same page like they were even a year ago. And I think that is a big reason that we are not consistently scoring goals. I was just looking back at last year, and again, someone who's criticized the team for not being able to score goals. If you look at the end of last season, every match we won by scoring 2 goals, except for the Toronto match in the last 10 or 15 games. The only games we didn't win or tied, those are all the times we only scored 1 goal. So, we don't seem to have nearly as an effective attack as we did ending the season last year. I don't know what the difference is. It's hard to. I don't believe the difference is we gave away the players that were enabling the attack. It's more about who we are as a team. I think they're struggling to play together.
I'm with you. I agree with you. Is that reason because they're getting exhausted? Or is it because there's a fundamental issue that we're just not identifying?
So I have this weird bias about the exhaustion issue. And we look at American soccer. It is quite normal to have kids up until U17, U18 playing 4 or 5 matches in a 2 to 3 day week, 90-minute matches. Like, that's tournament play in America. I don't understand. Like, teams should be able to handle rotating people through and having the ability to play 3 games in 7 days, 3 games in 8 days. At this point, you have to remember we are dependent on 35-plus-year-old players. on the pitch today, I think we had more than half the team over the age of 35. Might have been only 5, might have been 6. I'm not. It's close enough. And I
I
think
understand.
that piece where we're not rotating, and we're not rotating the young players who can play more minutes is definitely starting to bite us.
It's unfortunate because we're not going to get another chance until after the next big game. And really, we're not going to get a chance to see this team play one game a week until after the CONCACAF Champions Cup run, and hopefully after the final. So it's almost like you've made this bed, you got to deal with it, lie in it.
And again, it goes back to, it almost would have been better if we had lost a match and we could get out of this undefeated streak. Like there is, and I know this sounds weird, but there is a true benefit when you don't have to worry about every match you're playing in. We are in a position right now where we have to win every match. So Real Kenya right now saying, think if we win CCC, Messi will be resting. If we're sitting on the points record and we're sitting undefeated still, they're going to keep on playing them because now you're trying to hold on to that record. And then we're going to enter, CWC with trying to hold on to these records. Like, if we lose the Dallas match, I'm not going to be that upset. I think that in the long run, losing the Dallas match might, if we rest players and lose the Dallas match, that might be the best decision Mascherano can make. I'm not saying toss the match, but just not force the win.
No, but here's the other thing. If you play Federico Redondo and Kramaski in the midfield, and you put Segovia at the 10, and you play Obando and Robert Taylor and Julian Gressel and David Martinez and Toto Aviles and Drake Callender and Ian Frey and Noah Allen at left back, you can still beat Dallas. Like, you're not throwing the game by resting everyone.
But
you can still beat them.
Noah Allen probably should get rested one of these games as well. Segovia coming off an injury is probably we have to get a little more serious resting some of these players. I know.
No, I hear you. I guess. No, I hear you. I'm just saying that is an 11 that is taking all of your superstars out and can still go out and win. Change Baltasar, put Baltasar in for Talasco, get him out, or play Messi on, that one game and give him the next weekend off, right? Like, it doesn't have to be every single thing I just said, but it's like the fact that we haven't been doing that over the course of the season now makes it feel like it's a drastic need. And here's the thing. I'm looking at the schedule, and I remember after the Houston game, I remember the pregame of the Houston game saying, I'm getting nervous about how much Suarez is playing. I'm getting nervous about Talasco Segovia playing. We have a game against Cavalier in 4 days. Like, they should be rotating more. And I remember people in the chat saying, nah, they can do it. And I'm looking around at LAFC and I'm looking around at Vancouver playing in the Champions Cup, and I'm saying they are completely throwing away these MLS games to be competitive for the CONCACAF Champions Cup. And Inter Miami doesn't have to do that because they have backups that are starter quality players, and they haven't been using them. I don't know how long it's been since we've seen Robert Taylor, but he's a guy that can help you win games. Against Vancouver last year, in Vancouver, he went out, got a goal, got an assist, was the player of the match. Like, that's the type of player that he is, and you just don't use him. It's crazy.
I'm in full agreement. Like, this goes back to, I don't know what's happening in the locker room. I don't know the directive Moss has given Mascherano. If the Moss brothers have said go for everything, put it on their backs. I don't know if this is Mascherano being stubborn. I don't know if it's Messi being stubborn and the other Barca 4 being stubborn. I don't know if, and I'm kind of speculating, I don't know if this is a issue where Mascherano and the Barca 4 were teammates, and now you're having him struggling to make like the decision and the best for the team versus best for individual players. Like, there's a lot of competing factors, but I think I speak for almost every Inter Miami fan. I'd much rather win CCC, start rotating out, start taking some losses. I'm going to be quite honest. Losing this match in Columbus would have meant nothing. In the grand scheme of things, losing these 3 points on the road would have meant nothing. But resting our players for midweek would have meant the world. So something's wrong. I feel like we're trying to bite off too much. And I don't know. I'd rather not see a break in Vancouver. I'll speculatively say if we leave Vancouver with an away goal, but down a point or two, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah, and the other thing is the way you perform both on the road and at home, like how you get your advancement determines how whether you get to host in the next rounds. And so you really don't just want to survive in advance; you want to thrive. Inter Miami got, I think, a nice schedule to be able to get a couple wins against Cavalier to get to this point where they put themselves in a position to host the final. And it would be a shame if they can't go to Vancouver and perform, even though they have the talent to do it, because they are exhausted and in poor form. I will say the semifinal starts Thursday, and then the following Wednesday will be the second leg. The final is a month later, so they will have time to rotate. Now, there's a bunch of games in the middle, lots of midweek games, etc., but they will have a chance to hopefully rectify this before a potential hypothetical final. Final thoughts, Mike, and I appreciate you coming on, but this is sort of the raw reaction. The point of this is to just get our thoughts out, do some group therapy or just group celebration. Give me your final thoughts for this game.
It's better to be lucky than good. That's my final thought. Like the team was great, like real credit to the defense. So we were lucky and good, but Columbus handed us this 3 points. And let's take the 3 points, get the team home. Hope they rest. I'm hoping, obviously they'll have Sunday off. Hopefully Monday's a very easy practice. Get everyone rested and get to go because, Lady Luck was on our side tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys, I will be back tomorrow. We will do a full game breakdown. We'll rewatch it. We will analyze the tactics. And most importantly, we'll give out some fun awards. Mike, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. I hope it was therapeutic for you. I know it's always been therapeutic for me, and that's one of the reasons I love doing this. To everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. You guys are the best part, getting to interact with you, especially in these sort of emotional reactions, whether it's therapeutic or excitement or just celebrating together. I appreciate you joining us, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you have a wonderful night, and 3 points is 3 points. Enjoy the win, and enjoy the rest of your night. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. Do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. Since our first viewer, sharing this with you all has been the very best part. So from the beginning until the end, thank you for being a part of this and have a wonderful day.